Am I living two lives? Because sometimes people think, oh, I have a material life and I have a spiritual life. And I'm so fed up with my material life. I wish I could just do my spiritual life all the time. So this is a general tendency. I keep saying the one thing I really love in ISKCON is the morning program. Pretty much I don't like it. No, I'm just joking. But it's true. A morning program is something which is so amazing, which is because it is the central practice, or the kirtans and the essential spiritual practices are very amazing. And that's what is the main product of the organization. In our own personal lives also, apart from our spiritual practice, we have to do so many things. Sometimes it could be very tiring. And that's why we may think, oh, I'm living two lives. No, actually, how Krishna sees it is very different in this chapter. He sees if we are not living two lives, we are living one life, but it's just like one life, which is spiritual life, but we are progressing from one end to the other. So we are, or we were too much attached and absorbed in the material world. We had no spiritual awareness. From there, now we have developed some spiritual awareness, and where we have to go is to be completely attached and absorbed in of Krishna. So it's a long journey. So it's a gradual progression. That's why Krishna is giving not just, oh, you just do sadhana 24 hours and you will get there. Yeah, sure. If the intensity of the sadhana in quantity and quality can increase our progress, can expedite our progress. However, it is not sustainable for many people. Oh, chant every day 64 rounds. It is the best thing to do, but is it the best thing for that individual to do? So that's why Krishna is offering other things. That's why Prabhupada is offering various other elements also. Okay, utilize your faculties in service. And if you really have a certain pronounced nature, go engage it in the world, because we all need to raise livelihood. Don't worry. But do it, like, make your life's goal as becoming attached and absorbed in Krishna. Make that as your main goal, and then do everything else centered around that goal. And yeah, if you're working, you need to focus on the work, and the work can be going late, and there can be things that actually sometimes overwhelm you and take your ability to perform sadhana itself. It cannot be the general thing, but if it is an occasional thing, we need not get frustrated. Because, say for example, you're on the road to get somewhere, and if there is a traffic jam, yeah, the highest legal speed may be 60 miles per hour, but because of the traffic jam, you probably are able to only go 20 miles. It can be highly frustrating, but is there an option? Do you just want to skip the journey and go back and sleep? So yes, getting to Krishna sometimes can, like, we may have difficulty in practicing sadhana because we do have other aspects of life. It can be frustrating, it can be disheartening, but what is the choice? Are you just going to completely give up? No, look for times when those things are not there. What are you doing? Not all days are that hectic. So what are we doing when those days when it's not hectic? That actually shows us how actually eager and determined we are. There are so many days when there is nothing, and there is nothing gets done actually. The most intense days are the days where actually sadhana is sometimes, at least quantitatively, it gets done. So when we get too much time also, we don't have that much love to completely invest it in Krishna. So better gradually go, and don't the frustration of life, don't take it out, don't justify it in the name of spiritual life. Even without spiritual life, everybody in traffic jam is frustrated. You don't need to be a devotee to be frustrated in traffic jams. You ask anyone who does not have spiritual life, they're also tired of taking someone to hospital, dealing with financial crisis, ups and downs in the market, and health, and parents, and spouses, and the fight between the in-laws. It's not going to be very pleasant for anyone just because they are not practicing bhakti. Of course, we have added, we cannot see, okay, at least though they don't have a sadhana to do after all that struggle, they can just go and relax and sleep. No, that escapism is not strengthening them. The sadhana is to actually help us connect with Krishna, so we can actually get nourished, and we can face those things with the right attitude. So develop the resilience. So don't see sadhana as a burden. Sadhana is to actually make us see the swadharma and general living in the world. It can make us easy. If you are in a good consciousness, you won't be affected. So we are trying, Krishna is helping us transcend, not just fix. Yeah, you need to fix as much as it is needed. But when you come with the transcendental consciousness, you fix how much you can and what needs to be fixed. You don't just spend all your time in trying to fix. If we think, why can't I change this world, then we'll be frustrated. We need to come with an attitude of, what can I change in this to actually help myself respond better to this world? What can I change in me? So that attitude comes from proper. So that's why we are not living two lives. Rather, we are living one life which has multiple aspects. And by doing proper sadhana, by actually connecting with Krishna, we can actually become transcend. We can develop a transcendental consciousness through which we can think, oh, instead of wanting to change everything and fix this world, we also understand how can I approach this world in a better consciousness. So the whole idea of taking up this topic is to see that our sadhana, our seva and swadharma are not as different lives. We are not living two different lives. My work and my spiritual, the values are not matching. It's to actually as much as integrate and be happy that you have this opportunity. What if we didn't have the job? Will we be actually happy? Just focus on Krishna? What if we didn't have the family? Will we be emotionally stable enough to just focus on Krishna? If we didn't have the house that we have, will we be actually comfortable enough to focus on Krishna? So, if not, just accept and don't overdo it. So, both desiring Krishna and desiring for Krishna, understand the categories and don't overdo it. If you already have 15 pairs of socks, and if you're thinking there is another pair that another devotee is wearing, I really like it, control yourself. Okay, you have enough. Don't go into the externals too much. But you don't need to not wear socks either. So have enough, but decide where is that enough. Draw a very strict line and control your mind. Otherwise, the mind will never get say this is enough. So any for your information, I do have more than 15 pairs of socks and I'm trying not to get more. Any questions? Any comments? Any thoughts? There's a chat.
Question to ask, if you would allow.
Of course. Yes, Chinmay, nice to hear your voice.
Just a specific question to that dovetailing everything in relationship to Krishna. This point I have quite often felt, how is it actually, even in Ishopanishad, the first two things that everything should be dovetailed in Krishna. In this way, you can live for 100 years without being bound by the laws of karma. And even in, yesterday I was reading Brahma Samhita, the last 5 verses where Krishna is speaking to Brahma, how are you going to put the universe into action? And so Krishna also mentions in one of the 5 concluding verses, Krishna also mentions a similar thing. They do as a worship for me, your work, and that way you will not be bound by. So how is it? Why is it so? The same thing which everybody in our routine lives or in our professional lives, how is it actually?
How is it actually?
Doing something for
I'm not sure if
how
it's
does that?
your voice lost.
Yeah. So how does this principle actually work?
How does this principle work? Say, for example, if a mother is going to work and has a baby at home, the work is so that she can support the baby. At the same time, that very work is taking her away from the baby. Do you think every given break she'll think of the baby? What is it doing? There's going to be a constant thought at the background, even while doing the job. So at the same time, if it really goes to an extreme extent, then it's not healthy either. So in this world we do have so many desires. So yes, we realize, okay, Krishna is our main goal and our connection with Krishna, but we have come up with a karmic bondage, karmic baggage, and we do have skills and we do have aspirations and desires. So now what Krishna is saying is there are various kinds of desires. Some desires needs to be dowtailed, some desires needs to be actually given up. Say if someone really wants to engage in immoral activities, they need to actually see where it's coming from, how it can be actually properly purified. Some desires have to be purified, some desires have to be dovetailed. If I'm an artist, if I have to make a living, I can make art and I can utilize that money in service of Krishna, because it's not always that utilizing money for Krishna means giving temple donation. If I take care of worship at my home, if I engage that money in actually supporting my family, because that family actually helps me emotionally stable to engage in bhakti. But how much is our consciousness? How much in the center, like the mother is always thinking of the child in the back, how much is our consciousness fixed in Krishna is very important. If we constantly do everything without even any awareness, we jump into things thinking, okay, this is my family and I need to do it independent of Krishna, then that gets like really overwhelming. So the whole idea is sadhana means training ourselves to see everything in connection to Krishna and constantly reminding ourselves. We will forget in this world the connection. When we go to a job, we don't understand this. We may sometimes get overwhelmed and forget why we are doing this job. Sadhana means to actually not just chant Hare Krishna and then be unconscious about everything else. To remind ourselves in everything that we are doing. Okay, why do we have a family? Why do we have a job? Why do we want a car? Or why do we get things what we do, and reminding ourselves how we can all center it as much as possible around Krishna gradually. So that awareness that nothing in my life is independent of Krishna, but to become aware of that is a practice. Nothing in our life is actually independent. Even if I'm having an addiction, that is because I'm not having a connection with Krishna. So when I look into it and then I try to recover, that is in my relationship with Krishna. Even if I have like a problem with money and I'm trying to make money, the reason I'm making money is I can be stable like in the world, so that I can facilitate my spiritual journey. So as long the moment your purpose in life is really pronounced, Krishna says that in the Bhagavatam also, if that taste for hearing about Krishna has awakened, Shravanado means like if that shraddha for hearing about Krishna and Krishna as the man, as the supreme, and me as the soul, my connection, if that is awakened, that Bhakti Lata Bija has come is into the heart by the mercy of Krishna and Guru. I'm not just speaking about Diksha Guru, any like just in general. We begin this path and it has become a pronounced desire. Yeah, I want to be a devotee. So from that point, nothing in our life is separate from Krishna. And the whole practice of sadhana is to become aware of that. So to think, oh, my life is this is material life, this is spiritual life. No. If you really want Krishna in your life, do you desire Krishna? You only have one life. That is your journey towards Krishna. It may have various phases to it. So that is why Krishna is saying everything you do is actually service. The more you realize it, you'll be connected with Krishna.
This is another following question. I won't take much of it. This is not to derail you, but if Krishna is a supreme person, he is always satisfied in himself. So a person like that, why would anyone, any devotee would rather care that I'm doing this for Krishna? Person who is already satisfied, who has nothing to gain. How does Krishna, how can, why is it so that a devotee is being asked to bring Krishna into center, bring me in the center, do it for me, do it for me?
Yeah, basically what Krishna is asking, not for the things that we have, for the love. How will you show love? Think about that in your own life. How will you show love for Krishna? And then everything what Krishna is saying will make sense. Because bhakti is about a relationship. Bhakti is not about a mechanical process. I chant and then that's again impersonalism. Last week also we discussed, some of us, or a lot of religious people and spiritual people, we also have a phase in our a kind of a level in our mind where we are actually like psychologically atheistic or imperfect, to put it nicely. We think this process, this chanting Hare Krishna, is a mechanical thing. I am there and then I chant this mantra, I develop my consciousness, I go back to Godhead. No, it's a relationship. There are two people in there. So we forget that there is in this relationship Krishna. That's what Krishna is saying. Become aware of my presence. You are not trying to do any of these things. Even sadhana is not an impersonal practice. Sadhana is a personal practice. So how is it personal practice? That means it's a connection with Krishna. So think in your own life, how will you show your love for anyone, for that matter, for specifically Krishna? For that matter, anyone, how do you show your love? Yeah, it's feeling, but how is that feeling experienced? You love someone and you never like speak to them or contact them or think of them, or and if I can keep thinking, but also it's better to express. Of course with Krishna it's very different, because he is the supreme reality. The moment you think of him, he knows you're thinking of him, the connection, and you receive. Why do we sometimes we chant and we feel so much more uplifted? Because we have really focused our attention on Krishna, and then that immediately our consciousness gets uplifted. So it is the nature of the soul to be connected with Krishna. So that's all Krishna is saying. So thinking of this, Krishna is the nature of the soul. It's not against the soul. But because we have used to not thinking of Krishna, it feels like, hey, why is this guy demanding so much? He seems to be too egocentric. No, rather for our own benefit, he is saying. It's not that he will become happy. He is not saying, think of me so I'll become happy. He's saying, think of me so you will become happy.